So here we are. It is December. We are in the thick of the holidays now. Well, first of all, happy holidays. We're here today. I promised a while back that we would have a video about preparing for the holidays and all the different kinds of triggers that it tends to bring into our lives. Cheers. Get cozy. Come sit by my fireplace. The holidays, we already started. We've been in the season for a minute now. We had our Thanksgivings. I hope we all got through that. I think that Thanksgiving can be challenging, but that, you know, the winter holiday, whatever you choose to call it, is really the one that tends to bring up the most stuff in us. There's a lot of reasons why they're difficult, I think. You know, whenever you're a kid, there's a lot of things that make it really magical. There's often a lot of positive memories. Not necessarily they're all positive, but if you were taught to believe in Santa whenever you were young, or whatever traditions your family might have this time of year. I was talking to a friend of mine. Their family didn't really celebrate the holidays until they were a little older, but one of the things that they did was a tradition from their mom's side of the family, and they would make something called glumpkies, which are like cabbage rolls, and that was really like one of the things that, even though Christmas wasn't necessarily a focus, it was still something that they all did together and really brought them together in a positive way as a family. Whatever they happen to be, we have a lot of these different things, activities, memories that are positive, but as we get older, we tend to acquire more and more baggage around the holidays. We tend to gather a lot more baggage in general, but the holidays in particular is a time that goes from being pretty magical to kind of stressful, if we're honest with ourselves. It can be really difficult, especially after we've lost people who were a central part of whatever our holiday celebrations happen to be. I also did some other research in preparation for this video. You know, the holidays, I think part of what is going on isn't so much the holidays themselves. They're a part of it because of the celebration and the focus on family. But I think also we're in the darkest time of the year. So this is when people are struggling already with their mental health. It's colder, we're driven inside, so there's less to do out there to distract ourselves, so we're sitting with our thoughts a little bit more. More people pass away in the winter, not necessarily in December. What I did find was that people die more in January through March is typically the time of year that there's just a higher rate of mortality. So not only are you having a celebration where it's about family, and if someone's missing from that, you're going to notice. Not only is it dark, but also there's good odds that there could also be an anniversary wrapped up in this situation as well. Whenever you've lost someone, whether or not Christmas was their favorite holiday, the holidays you're going to notice it in the holidays. It's like someone put a hole in the middle of your holiday, like the way it should be in your mind. And it's easy to get caught up in that and feel, you know, really feel that missing a little more acutely this time of year. So yeah, it's complicated, right? Like that's a lot of reasons for it to be hard, especially as an adult. I mentioned in a previous video that Christmas in particular was my dad's favorite holiday. He loved to decorate. It was his thing. So we had this giant living room. There's a balcony overlooking the living room. In his mind, it was this brilliant opportunity to have like a 12 to 18 foot tree. And for a while, we went to Christmas tree farms as a family, and that's typically a positive memory for me. We would have some fun together, choose one and bring it home and then decorate it together. He took advantage of the immense amount of banister spaces in the house, like the balcony space, the stairway, wrap those with fake greenery and lights and pretty things. It wasn't like it was the same decorations that were used every year. He took advantage of the opportunity to try a different look pretty much every time. Those are things that, you know, I didn't always participate in that, like putting it together, but I really did appreciate the environment that he created. There's a production value to it that had an effect on the space and made it just really cozy, and often brought us a little closer together as a family. Sometimes there are parts of the childhood experience that aren't necessarily positive. Like, I know in our family there were some traumatic things about the holidays where if we were having people over and, you know, the cleaning up for everybody to come over was always this like nightmare, because we wouldn't do it ahead. It would all wait till the last possible moment. And so the actual day of, it would just be this horrific, intense, emotional cleaning session. The whip was being cracked to get everybody in shape to be helpful. You know, there's pluses and minuses here, but I know that talking to my siblings, that's something that it's definitely left its mark in its own way for us. With him being gone, it's been since 2013, so this is our 8th Christmas without him, and I will say it has not been the same. We've tried. We've done our very best, the best that we know how to do given loss, but it has increasingly been a stressful time for the rest of us who are still here, because we're missing the person who used to like basically put together this situation and he would involve us in the process, but he was the one who would spearhead the effort of the holiday season. We all are grieving the same loss, but we're all grieving it differently. Like, my mom's grieving the loss of a husband, and we're all grieving a loss of a father, but we were all such different ages when we experienced that loss, so we all have different things attached to that, different numbers of Christmases spent with him. So we all are going through it different. When you lose someone in your immediate sphere, it's almost like the whole thing gets shattered for a while. And even as adults, especially as people who are like younger adults who are still trying to like figure out this whole adulting situation, you know, it can take a little bit of time to like shake off the dust and sweep up the mess that has been left and finally pull things back together. And this is inevitable, okay? Like, I think initially it feels like, why did this have to happen? It's not fair. And I'm not saying like those are invalid feelings. I've had them myself with different losses. I think the more losses I've had, the more I understand that this is how it works. This is what's going to continue to happen throughout my life, as long as I'm alive. So, losses are inevitable, and there will always be holes in the holidays of one shape and form or another. And at some point, I think it's about taking ownership of that it's just the way it is in a way. Not like in a give up sort of way, but, you know, just, again, accepting the reality of this situation in which we all find ourselves here on planet Earth. And that what we can do is look to the generation coming up behind us, and how can we as adults now in this situation begin to create the magic that we enjoyed as children. The thing that made me think about it, so Thanksgiving for me, a little backstory. My dad's family, my grandpa on that side, he grew up in Kentucky. And the house that he grew up in is still in the family. His older sister lives there. And so they always do Thanksgiving together out at the family farm in Kentucky. I've never been for Thanksgiving, and I was invited this year. So I decided this time to take like almost a week and just stay and hang out. But on Thanksgiving Day, one of the things that they decided to do, so my aunt, her husband passed away in 2009, and he had a wood shop there on the farm, and so his sons-in-law decided to go out to the wood shop and cut pieces of wood and had us, like the next generation down, even though we're all adults now, ranging from like 20 to 42, but had us all come out to the wood shop and drill together birdhouses. And then we took them into the dining room, and they had a whole bunch of different wood burning tools. And for as long as we felt like, we could wood burn our own birdhouses. And oh my goodness, I went at this for like 4 hours. And it felt like being a kid at Christmas again. Like, even though I'm an adult, some adults in this situation wanted to create an experience for the younger generation. And I'm so grateful that they did, because I needed this. I needed this touch point. I needed to remember what it felt like. It was, even though I'm a 42-year-old woman, it was really nice to feel like a kid. It was really good for me. It was really, really good for me. I think, you know, when we grow up in families, there's always going to be different sets of grandparents, and even them, like if you meet their families, then you've got like 4 sets of great-grandparents, you know? So you have all these family lines coming into you, into your situation. And it's interesting to have the opportunity to hone in on one thread, one line within this whole thing that is you. It's interesting to think about it like this, because they all do affect who you are and how you become who you are. It was really interesting to get in touch with the vastness of my situation and kind of have it in a pure form of sorts. And that line, for me, in all the confusing, convoluted lines I have in my tree, has always kind of been the magical line. It's been the line where somehow it's like the most unconditionally loving, the most understanding, the most encouraging, supportive. I mean, it's not like it was perfect, but like something went right in this line. Something went right. I had forgotten. I remembered conceptually, but I hadn't experienced it by itself in years. And it was amazing to just walk into that feeling and it being familiar and just feeling embraced and adored and valued. And I'm not saying it's all about me. I was very grateful to see them too, but just that family feeling, like the one that we think is a fantasy in a movie. It's real. So I think it's about, you know, not focusing on the pain of your missing, but transforming that energy of missing the person that maybe helped make the holiday special for you, and harnessing that energy and pulling it into yourself, if that makes sense. And not that you have to do it the way that that person did things, but finding your own way, or finding the pieces of that experience that were meaningful to you. I feel like there's endless things, and it doesn't even have to be something that your family did in the past. I think there can be interesting impact whenever it's things that your family has done in the past. because you're also bringing that into the younger lives. People they never even really met or got to spend time with. It's a way for them to get to know the long game of this ancestry of theirs. It could be like doing a jigsaw puzzle together, you know, or decorating the cookies. Making Chex Mix was one in my family. Making fudge. Hey, it's a cat. Say hi, Shimmer. One of the things I like to do in the holidays is Christmas cards. I cannot buy presents for everyone in my life that I love, but I can drop some money on some stamps, having pictures around of them, you know, like one of the things we did at Thanksgiving was for everybody that was missing, for one of us that was there at the table, they went through the photo albums and they found a photo of those people, the missing. We had periodic pictures of these people that we were missing. So at my place setting, there's a picture of my grandpa and my grandma. And I thought that was a really nice touch to like have them there in a way, like not avoiding the remembrance or trying to stuff it. We know how I feel about this. I'll reiterate, if we stuff it, it's gonna come back anyway. But it's gonna come back in a way that you don't see coming. It's probably gonna fall out of you sideways in a way that isn't healthy or appropriate and might even be harmful to someone else in your life. Again, it's important to just look your grief in the eye, push through the pain, because where there is grief, there is love. So embrace the pain as part of the love. It's there because the love was there, is there. It doesn't go away, right, Shim? It doesn't go away, does it? No, it doesn't. We still have the love. Find an ally in your family. Sometimes that's not always possible, and I know it can be very difficult because not everyone's at a place where they feel ready to like take on their grief and transform this energy, and sometimes it can be a very lonely proposition. If you are in a place where you are able to push forward, embrace your grief, embrace the fact that the holidays are always gonna have some sort of a hole in them from here on out, and there are things you can do to make it more meaningful and more about the young people in the situation. I think that is one of the best ways I've found so far to transform my grief into something productive, and to make it somehow to make it feel like I was a kid again. So, for what it's worth, thank you to my family in Kentucky for inviting me, for loving on me, for the dads involved for fathering me. I had not felt fathered in a long time, and maybe you don't feel like you did a whole lot, but you don't know. You don't know what you're doing sometimes, and you're actually having an impact. Attend to your grief. Look at it. Even if that's all you can do this year, just pull a picture out of that person. Maybe put it up. You don't have to put it up somewhere you have to look at it every single day, but put it up somewhere where you run into it and you go ahead and let them be a part of things even though they're not here, just in a different way. Don't let it sneak up on you. Give yourself a lot of grace. Give other people a lot of grace. Because it's hard, yo. It's hard out there. Be kind to everyone you meet, for we are all fighting a great battle, is one of my favorite quotes. I feel like we should sing a Christmas carol or something. Not Silver Bells. Carol of the Bells. Peace, love, good grief, and happy holidays. Much love to you. Bye.